Hey y'all, welcome to First Comes Love, Then Comes Marriage podcast. My name is Lindsey Jackson,
And I'm Aaron Jackson.
and we are on season 6, Love Letters to Our Children. And this topic of this episode, I like the way that you phrased it because you phrased it like these are the questions that I would then ask my parents. So as we're talking to our kids, you're also thinking about your parents as well.
Yeah.
So it's that parent relationship. So the topic of this episode is expectations.
Ooh, can we put Great Expectations? Isn't that the name of a book or something like that?
Yes,
Great Expectations.
It is. It's expectations, and I think that it's one of those things that it's like if you don't speak out loud what you want, what you expect, people are not mind readers. And so it's like, well, it's that, what did you expect? Or, what that is. So the question is, let's do the first one. What are your expectations for your parents?
Right now.
So what are the expectations that we have for our parents right now? And people don't talk about this enough because here we are adults. We are adults with children. We are adults not in the same state as our parents. All of these things. And so what are our expectations for our parents?
Yes. This is very challenging for me because one, I don't think about this at all.
Okay.
And two, it's not really discussed.
It's not discussed, and it's everybody has parents, and everybody has their own.
Well, not everybody.
Okay, let me rephrase this. Everybody has their own issues or relationships, problems, good or bad. Like that's where that you have daddy issues from, you have mommy issues from. All of that comes from this. And so it's like also we as adults, I was just talking to a coworker and she was like, her mom came to visit for the first time and her mom came to stay with her. And she was like, and her mom acknowledged that she was not a big part of her upbringing. And it was like, oh, okay, let's talk. And so how did that affect their relationship? But anyways, how your parents affect your relationship, whether they're in your life or not in your life. And so now in our adult age, what do we expect of them? Because then we're going to flip it. What do they expect from us? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like
what will we expect of
our children when they become adults? So, but let's talk about what do we expect from our parents, especially because I feel like parents, once they graduate to grandparents, it's a whole nother world. Like, are we first anymore? Are we second? Do they care about us? It's that whole like, give me the grandbaby. But what are our expectations for our parents right now?
So, what is my expectation? It's so I'm actually at a loss for words because like in my mind I'm thinking like growing up it's always been like, oh, when I'm 18 I'm grown, I'm out of here, or when I'm 21 I could drink, I'm out of here, society. Or stuff like that. Yep. So I'm just thinking about and I think even also in the Bible is like raise a kid and they will never apart from their ways or something.
Yes, but then it's also that leave and cleave.
Right?
Yeah, they're supposed to leave.
Yeah.
So all of these things that
all these things
in the Bible is like this is how we were raised.
Yeah, you just gotta like. So what is never and I don't think I had a conversation like my mom. I think her mom passed when she was like in her 20s. And I think his dad passed when he was in like maybe his 40s. So they didn't have the same sex, the same sex parent there when they were adults.
When they became that age.
Yeah, as around this age. Now, yeah. 37. Okay.
Yeah.
And I just so happen to have, I do have both of my parents right now at my age. And so it's not like my grandfather was there to be a parent for my dad at that age. And now I'm thinking about it. What is my expectation for my dad? I can
Hmm.
I really want him to be there for my children, especially my sons, because he uh, he always had an emphasis on the family name, like Jackson, Jackson, Jackson,
Yes.
and I was like, okay, well, I was never like, oh yeah, I need to have boys or anything like that. But the fact that I do have two boys and they are the only ones in the family that have Jackson. Well, no, because my brother has about to have five girls that have Jackson as the last name. So, but the only two boys that have the Jackson name. Even though nowadays, probably by the time Action Trying to Live are like our age, I see plenty of times where the guy's taking the girl's name and stuff like that.
Yes,
Anyways,
but legacy,
so yeah,
legacy
yeah. So my
through.
dad is always like
Okay.
legacy. So uh the fact that I'm in New York, I like one of my expectations was like that he would be more, I don't know, available around. Like he would fly more, but he doesn't fly like that. I don't even know
Mm-hmm.
him to be a traveler like that.
Mm-hmm.
My mom comes out when she can, your mom comes out, but like I do want them to know my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Uh because like that's the guy who raised me. So that's one of my expectations. That's one of my expectations that I feel like he kind of, but that has to do with grandparenting, really. And so I'm like, what is my expectation for my dad right now? For me,
For
like,
you
yeah,
as his son.
as yeah, I'm his son. He is
Yes.
my dad, and I will say this. I don't know if this is like a controversial thing to say or not, but I do feel like since birth, since I can think, or yeah, since I was able to think, I feel like there's always been times since like six all the way until I'm 37 now, where I feel like I'm like, oh, I know more than them. Like I always feel like children. I feel like Action does that. Like he might know that he's learning from us, but I think there's always going to be a time where the child thinks that they know more than the adult.
Mm-hmm.
And I am his child, and sometimes I do think that I know more. But my expectation is for him to still give me advice.
You call
Uh,
him all the time for
yeah,
advice.
when I ask for it. So this is the difference
Yep.
between
Yep.
child and adult. When I ask for it, I want it.
Yes.
Uh,
Unsolicited advice
Unsolicited
is
advice right now.
I don't want it.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
ask you. And we get that a lot, especially because we are parents now. It's
hmm
like across the board. And I know that strangers give it all the time.
hmm
They just throw out, well, you should guess what? First of all, you don't know me. Maybe I already know that. But also, but parents as well, it's definitely like they've been parenting for for all of your life, right? So they're like, well, what do you mean? I have to give you advice. It's like I've been doing this, but I don't want it because I'm an adult now. Or I want it when I ask for it.
But does that go under my thing of saying like, yeah, kids always feel like they know more than their parents because I don't believe that my mom, your mom, my dad would be giving advice to the detriment of us. Like they're not doing it
No.
for. We have very great parents.
I don't think here's the difference though. Just because it's not malice doesn't mean it's good advice. So
That's
like
true.
if especially because things were different back then and we won't be like back then because they're gonna say that about us and be like, oh, these 90s, these, even though we're at
Yeah,
87. But it's like my mom could swear by Vicks. Get the Vicks vapor rub and or
she does not say Vic. She
what is it?
says little or
No, she
something.
says Vicks has.
Oh,
Or just things that like it worked for them. The castor oil. I remember taking that,
mm-hmm.
it's things that like, okay, this is, and obviously we're here today. So we are well, but maybe it's the same thing that's like parents put their kids in the crib any old type of way. And now the doctors are like back only, back only. You know what I mean? For babies. But it's like things do change. So maybe they're giving advice because that's what they did. But because we're a different, all completely different generation, raising then completely different generation children, in a completely different world, right? We didn't have phones and iPads, so they didn't even raise us with that stuff. We can't call them and say, "Hey, what age did you give us a cell phone?" That's
No.
different.
Well, yeah. Well, we had cell phones at 13.
We had cell phone. We had a boost. We had the chirp.
Yeah.
No, and my brother got me that cell phone. I remember my
Your
mom.
parents allowed it.
I know, but what I'm saying is now smartphones, the chirp didn't have Google. Okay, so it didn't have access to all of that. It's
All the
just
information.
exactly, it is different. And so
Yes.
with that said, they would, yes, like you're saying,
We're
they
about to
would
get
give
into.
advice.
No, this is great because I you're going off of one side, and I kind of don't agree with you because to me, I'm saying the more things are the same. No, the more things are different. The same. The more things are the same. Like my dad was a black man in America, and he was at a job where it was mostly white people, and he had to deal with that raising his kids. And I'm at a job where I am the minority, and I have to deal with that raising my kids.
From him to you is closer than from him to action. And
Yes.
so for that, I would say, yes, like how you're saying, like your expectation of him and your relation to his son
Mm-hmm.
is completely different from your expectation of him and his relationship to your child. So your
Yes,
expectation for him as a father versus for him as a grandfather should be two different things.
they are. They are two different things. And so, like, one of the first expectations before we went off on that tangent would be to like give advice when asked. The second expectation, which is tough, I feel like it's tough, is to actively listen. Listen with the and it's tough. Listen with the was it listen without the intent to respond. Just listening.
Yes, listen
And
with the intent to understand,
yes,
not to
and I
respond.
feel like all of our probably my mom would probably be the best out of all the grandparents. Would be the one that listens best without a response ready.
Your mom is the one also with the least judgment in her. And that is
Yeah.
what I love about her. I
Yeah.
don't know what her life led, and this would be such a wonderful um, time to interview her.
Yeah.
But it's like who people are is indicative of how their life was. And
Yeah.
I don't know how her life turned out, or not turned out,
Yeah.
but how she was. But she has the least judgment for all of her children.
Or maybe she has a judgment that she might be judging
She might
behind
be
closed
judging in the
doors.
closet, but
Yeah,
I have
she
never
might be
seen it.
talking to Aunt Kathy
She does
like, "Girl,
exactly, and
yeah,
then let that be your person too. Don't you know
uh,
what I mean? Like that's
yeah."
fine, but okay, yes,
So, yeah. So one would to be giving advice, and I don't know, like looking, I might be editing this later and be like, am I contradicting myself? So yes, I would like to have advice from my dad and my mom when asked for advice, not unsolicited advice. Two, I would like to have them be an ear without response, and that kind of goes together with like, don't give me advice
yeah, yeah,
when without me asking for it. Uh, but I also want to one of my last expectations, and I might have more, but this is like you put me on the spot. We don't really talk about this before
hmm
we start recording. I really want to learn from their experiences. I don't want to make the same mistakes they made. So I want them to be transparent with me,
hmm
uh, with mistakes, with maneuvers that they have where I have to listen to them. I have to know that they made mistakes. I have to, and so I can learn from that uh the way. And you know what? My expectation, if I don't got it and they got it, help financially. That would be my last one. Like if they have it and it's not going to put them in a bind, like I don't want it, then help me get it.
hmm
That would be my last one to like help me get it, and then that way when the tables do turn, we might talk about this on the second part of the pod. It's like the tables turn, and when we're more parental to our parents.
hmm
But So that would be my 4: the advice, the active listening, the transparency. What was the last one? Oh, and the financials.
Financial. Yeah,
Financials.
those are good.
Those will be my expectations for my parents right now, and um, yeah.
I mean, going back to the third one, the vulnerability of it all, I think that's so crazy because, and we've talked about this before, but we see things through rose-colored glasses because we've gone through them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're not in that moment of, you were saying, like, their experiences, like, or whatever is happening. And sometimes, especially like with my mom, after it's all lovely because I'm on the other side of it. So it's like it's really hard to then be honestly, like, tell me how it was when you were in that apartment before you bought your house.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now we're in an apartment that is great, but we're also looking to move.
Yeah,
We need
you are looking to.
I am
I'm actually
you're
fine.
right. I am looking to move
Yeah.
because we're in a 2-bedroom in New York, and we talked about this before. We got 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, and I would love for them to have more space and a
Yeah.
dog, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so, and I know that we, my family growing up, we did live in an apartment when I was a baby, but way too young. By the
You don't
time,
remember
I
it
don't
at all.
remember it at all, we moved into a house. What was that like?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get help financially?
Yeah.
Like, these are the things that, but I want to know the real, like how you were saying, the real part of it. Like, if I think that is not going to be a real part, like, tell me. And you're like, but this is real. Like, I think, okay, well then now
Yeah.
now we
Yeah.
can't, but
Like Jack in the stillbirth, right? I don't want, like, when Action Shine and Live to talk about when we talk about it, it's like, yes, we had a stillbirth, but then we had you 3, and
and it
life
was
is great.
completely glossed over.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so it was
But
like
also,
that. Oh, you wanted to go?
no. I understand what you're saying. It reminds me of Michael when we interviewed her, when we interviewed his sister. She is a therapist, marriage
Mm-hmm.
family therapist. And Michael, I said, well, do you share with your patients? And she said, I always ask myself, will it be helpful?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that is so key. And this might be a factor of, like, listening to the Holy Spirit, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Discernment.
discernment. Will it be helpful? Because certain things that Action asks me right now, that it's like, I and so this is, again, our parents realizing that we're adults now. So
Yeah.
maybe when you were in college, he's like, I'm not about to go into all these details
Yeah.
because I don't want him to,
It might sound fun.
exactly,
Yeah.
right. So, but okay, but now he's this, now he's ready, and now he's this. So it is understanding, like, okay, maybe you didn't want to give us the rough and tough back then,
Mm-hmm.
but we're asking for it now. We're asking for you to get real. We're asking to get to know you a little bit more. And so, like you said, he didn't have a father at this point in his life, maybe. And so it's like, okay, understanding, okay, well, this is the expectation of how my son would, or, how to talk to, and now still raise, because once you're a parent, you're always a parent,
Mm-hmm.
raise an adult child. And
Because there is still a mentorship that I feel is always needed in life.
yes,
Period.
yes.
So even at 70, I should be having a mentor at whatever it is. It could be a mentor at, maybe at 70, I'm I don't know, writing a book. And so I would need a book mentor, somebody who can help me with that, or something. You get what I'm saying? So there's always somebody who can help pull you up, and then also you should also be pulling somebody else up. Each one teach one type of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And so that mentorship that I do get from my dad. Also, I have Davin, who is like a mentor to me, also a friend. But those are like my 2 kind of like mentors, my dad and Davin. And now I have Action and Shine to kind of like mentor and bring along with. And so just continuing that, that's where the transparency comes in, and like the learning, the listening, and stuff like that. So with parenting, it's more so like mentorship. I will say this: we didn't get to your expectations. You started going in on mine. What are your expectations for your mom now?
Um,
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be tough, and that's why you was avoiding it.
No,
Yes.
I wasn't avoiding it. I
Okay.
like to listen to you and your totality, um, because you like to give us the full scope. My expectation of my mom would, for me, would be to. I hate to say like I piggyback on yours, but I do think that you brought up some excellent um expectations. For one, let's start with the grandparenting thing because I do realize that we are in a different state. And I had the thought that we would be close to our parents. Like I always grew up, I feel like before I got to middle school, I was always at my grandparents' house Monday through Friday because my elementary school was down the street from them. So they were a big part of my foundational years. And so I knew them in a different way than I would say my children necessarily know my mom because they were just proximity wise, they were close.
Mm-hmm.
I understood them. And so this goes to like, you know, we got 4 plane tickets. We just were talking about this to get home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, can you help us get to you more? Right. And my mom does a great job of coming to visit.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, the
You know, it's funny.
children.
Like, the other day, I was talking to her real quick at work, and I was gonna ask her like, "Hey, when you coming back out?"
Yes.
Because it's like springtime, and you
Yes.
come out for a spring break or something like that. Anyways, but I didn't ask her because I was at work. But keep going.
No, I appreciate that so much because, yes, this is, I mean, because she doesn't have an iPhone, because we can't FaceTime and even, all of the things that we do regularly with, say, other people, she comes out and you have that relationship. She has the relationship with our children. So it works out wonderfully. I think that that's crucial to the grandparent expectation,
Mm-hmm.
especially with them at their young age. And then, of course, our job is to help them call her, is to help them do that.
Yeah,
But my expectation for my mom is,
as her daughter.
as her daughter, is really to, and this is funny because I am a parent now, continue to make time and space for me. And that's challenging, I feel like, because I'm similar to my mom in where I am doing,
Yeah.
and purposefully, it's not without purpose. But I do find that sometimes, and she might feel this way about me as well, it's like, oh, I don't want to interrupt. Oh, I don't want to, I know they're busy, that sort of thing. And I know that my mom has a full schedule, right? But the expectation is I should be able to call my mom and she, whatever it is, hey, let's talk. You know what I mean? Like, let's have a conversation, and really like a real conversation about like, how are you doing? Not a sugar coated conversation about everything is lovely. If everything's lovely, that's fine. And I do get that there are so many people out there that are always tired and always, oh, so they're always complaining. And so the flip side of that is that this word that I learned about toxic positivity is like, I'm great. I'm great. And it's like, are you? Because some
Where'd you learn that?
toxic positivity.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
because I feel like if somebody has the mindset of gratefulness
Mm-hmm.
and gratitude, and they've seen some things and they've been through some things,
Yes.
when their daughter or when somebody asks them, "How are you?" their answer could be, "I'm great," or "I'm blessed," or "I'm grateful," or something like that, because even if they're going through something,
They're
that is
still, I
because they are
agree.
still like, I'm still blessed, even though I'm going through something right now, even though the bills, start preaching, even though the bills is coming, like, I'm still grateful, I'm still blessed, I'm still happy. And so I don't like, I, as a believer, I don't know if that is a term that I would ever like. Toxic positivity, like, those contradict to me, because it's
Mm.
like, I can tell you that I'm great. I can tell you that God is good even in the storm.
Mm-hmm.
So you can ask me how am I, and I can say things are great. But after I say things are great, I can still tell you what the real is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm doing great. The family's great. We're healthy. I'm breathing alive. These are situations that are going on, but it's not complaining. You get what I'm saying?
But do you see how you are pulling out real things versus like a regimented robot
Of a mask.
of a mask, of
Yeah.
a facade, of a I don't believe you. And that is the difference that I'm finding with my life right now, because I am on another side where I am a genuine person. I want to recognize when I'm not great. I can still be grateful. I can still be blessed. And I know, like, it's the thing that I'm working on Instagram. I change my like word of the day or daily whatever,
To
and right, and
gratefulness.
so
I
right
love
now I'm
it. I
always
love it
having
so
three
much.
things of gratefulness. And so even when I'm having hard days, I can still be grateful. So I can still say, you know what, I hated walking around New York, but I got to walk around, so I flipped it, you know what I mean, like perspective. So that's different from being real. So I don't know how we got on this topic. I feel
Yeah,
like
because we were talking about expectations, and you were talking about
real conversations.
real conversations with your
Yes.
mom.
Yes.
And that goes to me. I think that kind of goes back to one of my points, since you were like picking my points, of the vulnerability of having. One of my expectations is the transparency
of having adult children and knowing that you can be a real person. So it's also like picking who you're talking to. So if you are great to everybody, and that's also what I see, like if you're talking to your daughter versus you're talking to someone at Starbucks or someone here or someone there, and you don't want to burden them with like your real life, of course, then I understand that. But if we're having a real conversation and I want to know, tell me how's everything, and be great, don't be sad, or I just going back to listening and having conversations and being real and telling me who you are as a person now. I think that's my only expectation. I don't have a lot of expectations for my mom, because I recognize that she has gotten me to this point. And we were just talking about parenting being so much like, by the time children formulate memories, you've already done everything for them for their first 5 years of life. And so it's like, I get it. Like, take a break. You're tired now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a lot of expectations, except that I want to continue our relationship, and a real relationship.
Do you think that you can handle a type of relationship where you are friends with your parents as an adult? Because sometimes I'm thinking in my head, like I'm talking about all these things. I'm talking about mentorship, and when I think about mentorship, sometimes I do want to put my parents on a pedestal, right? So when, like, do I necessarily want to have a conversation with my dad or with my mom, and she's talking to me like Aunt Kathy or one of her homegirls? You get it? Like,
Yes.
are my dad talking to me about I don't know, guys don't, I don't know, guy with the equivalent of like, like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Do you think you are equipped to have more so like, okay, this is a friendship where I am talking to you, I'm giving you the real, but I'm also giving you all the other reals, like my dad talking mess about, like, as a friend, talking like, oh man, Wyatt did this. Wyatt is my brother. Wyatt did this. Like, I don't know if I'm
Yes.
articulating it
I
enough or
think
not, but
yes. I
okay.
think it is. You have to. I mean, again, it goes back to discernment. It's like, yes, I want to have real conversations with you, and then when I'm like, this is too much, you need to be able to take when I'm saying stop. And now that we're both adults, there's respect still, but we can reel it in. You're doing too much or you're not, and I think that there's
So
pathways to all of that.
flipping that to live. You talking to live. You're at whatever age. Liv is an adult now, and so you would be talking to Liv like, "Oh, girl, menopause. Let me tell you." Or
yes, because when I get to menopause, I would want to know, and that's the thing,
mm-hmm,
and that's so crazy because we were talking about how Liv doesn't have any sisters,
mm-hmm.
and so it's like, okay, well, I will be her girlfriend. I mean, I don't know, but like, it's like, tell me, okay, when you first got married, and then you're like, oh, the expectations of a wife, or we and things like that, and then menopause. Oh, well, to my knowledge, I don't know. Did my mom ever have any hot flashes, or I don't. There is obviously some things can be TMI, but we don't know until we explore.
And would you say TMI?
Yes, I'd be like, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Okay.
and then it'd be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, But we can have those moments, and I think
Yeah.
those are really good moments that bring people closer together, instead of, like you said, keeping them on the level of everybody else on the outskirts. And so that, and also that's the expectation of listening. And then also, we've talked about this before, financially, because I think that back in the day, our parents received a lot of help. Or, your dad received a lot of help from grandmother. They
Mm-hmm.
received help in a way that, because they started young having children, like you said, you get more help when you're young having kids, because people are like, I'm willing to help you. Versus when you're older, people think, oh, they got it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, we don't have it. We need some help. We need some help financially. We need some help, like how my mom was helping us look for a babysitter at one point. She was like, I know somebody that knows somebody. Yes, help. We need the help. And if you all have a reserve in your pocket for, like,
The rainy day.
the rainy day,
Yeah.
my kids in New York, they need it. and we need it as your children, but we also, your grandkids need it too. So I think that that's just because we're not in the same place as them. Sometimes I feel like it's not out of mind, out of sight, but it is like, they're gonna be all right.
Yeah. We also are all right. You get it?
Yep.
Yeah. It's
I
not
mean,
dire.
you're right. You're right.
So the second part of this episode
Yes.
is what what are our expectations, and this is us looking ahead for our adult children.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just go one or two if you can, if you could think of it.
When my kids become adults, I expect them to call me
mm,
when they don't need something. Because I feel like often it's like right now, and maybe because they are so young right now, they need all the time.
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and then when they become young adults, I fully expect them to call me from college or from wherever, because they're 19, 20, 21, and they're still going to need all the time, even when they're out of the house. I expect that. Like, I'm wrapping my mind around that, right? But when they become our age, and it's like, you know what? I hope and I pray that you are set and you are well off and you can call me when you don't need anything. What?
I just think it's interesting. The last segment or the last conversation, the last thing you said was like, yeah, help financially.
No, help.
And then wait, let me finish. So help financially, that's one of the expectations. Now your expectation for your child is to call when you don't need anything.
Yeah.
But also, can they call when they need something?
Of course.
Okay, I just want.
Oh, of course. But don't
Okay.
only call when you need something.
Okay.
Call when you don't need anything. Call when it's not my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Call when, you don't want to vent and talk about your day, but just call to say what's up.
Check up on you.
Yeah, not even to check up on me, because I feel like that's obligatory sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I haven't talked to my mom in a couple of days. Let me call real quick, that sort of thing. But but this is, again, me wanting the expectation ties in with me wanting a relationship with my adult children. And so it's like, call, or if you're around, I do want you to explore the world, but if you down the street, come over. You know what I mean? Like call and or come over when you don't need
If the
anything.
door's locked, let me say,
No.
if the door is a locking, don't come a knocking.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
So
You
that
might
would
see your mom in a position you might not want to see her.
okay.
Is that TMI?
Yes. I think that okay, that's the one expectation for me. Just one. What about
Okay.
you?
Oh, and do you, as an adult child, as an adult child, yes, as an adult child, do you do the expectation for your mom?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Uh, I have lots of expectations for adults, and to answer my own question, I do think that I fulfill those expectations.
Mm.
One is to honor their mother. I expect all three of them to have put you on a pedestal, to respect you at all times. That is the expectation, and also for their spouse to respect you, to know who you are, just like how you honor my mom, because also you know how important she is to me, but also you have your own relationship with her. So that's one expectation. Another expectation is just to talk to me, tell me about their interests, uh, be inquisitive, um, just like I'm inquisitive.
I was like, we don't have to. That's within them.
What?
But that's just because they
No,
on spring break right now. They
you
full of
going through it.
inquisitiveness.
You going through it right now with these questions from action. You going through it.
Lord, they're gonna have to remember these moments.
No. And what's like another expectation that's really, I just think it's like respect. If you can respect, I don't expect you to always, when I offer you advice, I don't expect you to always take it. I do expect, when like, I just expect the communication. I expect a relationship. That's what I expect. I expect a relationship with you, that is me knowing you, me knowing your interests, me knowing what you don't like, what's your favorite team, whoever your partner is, things like that. I expect to know you.
And would you want to know them if they are not who you want them to be? Like, how some
Yeah.
kids become not disappointments, but it's like they keep things secret because they know that their parent would not approve of that particular lifestyle or that career or that,
I
not to say like Liv's gonna be a
yeah,
prostitute or
yeah, yeah.
anything, but
Would I want to know them? And yes, the answer is yes,
yeah.
because they are who I want them to be. They're my children.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, don't be serial killers, please, please. But also, we raised you. I'm just saying, like, we're raising you. We're pouring into you. We are pouring our morals into you. We are praying for you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's another expectation. Grandmother, and as a grandmother, grandfather, and a parent.
You expect our parents to be praying.
I expect them
that's
to
like
pray.
the unspoken expectation.
I know.
Y'all should be praying.
Pray for us. Keep us in your prayers.
But it's like, are you in the prayer closet
I
an
need,
hour?
yeah.
I need the full hour, and
Look,
then you can go to your other kids. You need to be specific.
So my mom got to spend 5 hours for every kid?
No, I didn't say they needed an hour. I said what I need. So let your mama know.
So yeah, I just feel like a relationship, the same thing, that like being real, being real and respectful is my, and I will say a couple of things. I expect for you to have your own opinions about things, and we can have different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you're respectful, we can have different opinions, and that's me at 37 saying that. Like maybe at 60 or 70, I'm like, oh, you disrespectful! How dare you think differently for me?
And I think respect goes both ways once you turn an adult. I mean, actually, at
It's
all
very
times.
well. That's the thing that I will have to, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy this season so much. Is like I could go back and watch this when I'm older because I know that action and stuff. Like I know you, and then at 37, I'm like, it's the wipe. I wiped your diapers. Like I taught you how to pee.
Yeah,
I
but they're adults now, and
they
that needs
still
to
my kids. They're still my kids.
Yeah, but if you do not flip that, that is what really strains the relationship. Because
That's
if
gonna
you,
be tough.
that's gonna be
I'm
tough,
just
but we
saying
don't
is
want it to
yeah.
strain.
It's I feel like it's easier said than done for me to raise you, and then I'm not saying that I'm not gonna be the way. Like I'm not saying that I'm gonna be heartless and like, oh, you're an idiot because you think differently to me or anything like that. Like I'm not gonna be open minded. I am saying that I feel like it will be difficult for somebody that I raised to have a different opinion than mine when I think I'm right.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I could see why, like my dad or my mom or your mom would. I could just see that side of like, oh yeah, I've known you. Like, how you know better than me? I'm 60, you 30. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but that's why we have this podcast. That's why we have these conversations. So I can look back and be like, you know what? They should have their own opinions. And like right now, I do have different opinions than my parents and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you one of these. I'm kind of going out on a tangent, but my dad sent a message on like a text message about like getting the kids like these college funds account.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thought of it was like, he was like, oh, you should get your kids these accounts. And my first thought was like, you didn't give an account like that for us. Like I didn't have a college fund account.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, is a trust fund or like leaving a will, or is that the same thing as for adults
Mm-hmm.
that having the kids college fund when they're babies type of thing? You get like it's the same type of thing. Like
Okay.
having a trust where you passed and your kids are set up.
Yes.
Is that the same thing?
As when you're an adult, like
Yeah.
kids. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was, and that kind of got in the conversation. I was like, what's the expectation? Because, yeah, you're telling me to do something for my kids that you didn't do for us.
I mean, but it's also you live and you learn. So
And
hopefully, it's like, and again, this is what advice is to me. I'm like, you either hear it or you don't. And I've gotten to that point as well with people, because sometimes I'm talking to people and I'm like, man, Holy Spirit's like, you should say something, and you can say it, and you either hear it or you don't. You
mhm,
could judge me for even saying it, or what have you. But yes, your dad says a lot of things,
mhm.
and like you said, it's all to be helpful.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So I think like, all right, what do you think the poll question should be this week?
yes, okay. The poll question is, hmm, I don't know. It's a good one. Hold on. Let me think
Mm-hmm.
about it. Expectations. Um, are you willing
Mm-hmm.
to tell people your expectations? Because the reality is you can have expectations all you want, but unless you tell them, they're not going to be met. It's like the saying, don't expect what you don't communicate.
Got you. If Action and Shine at 37 was like, I expect this of you, parents. What do you?
In a way, like, hey, I expected you guys to, like how we're like, hey, I expected you guys to help more financially. Should we pick up the phone and be like, hey, I want to sit you guys down? And this was what we talked about. It's like, how can they help us? Would it be, we're interested in moving, we're interested in buying a house,
Yeah.
we need that, we've looked into it, and this is the amount of money that we need. I expected you all to help. We've been doing these things right. So
like, I don't know where you got that
and
expectation.
then they can say,
Yeah.
well,
I expect you to be good.
I expect you to already have your own money at this,
Yeah.
whatever. But okay, so then the poll is, would you be willing to tell people to communicate your expectations?
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Okay.
And it would need to be parents.
Gotcha.
So for those of us that our parents are still alive, I don't know, phrase it however you want to phrase it.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, so
what's the poll?
You just said it.
Okay, so the question is, to be clear, are you willing to communicate your expectations to your parents? Yes or no?
Yes or no?
For me, I mean, we're doing this podcast right now, but I don't know if I would pick up the phone and communicate. Mine would be like,
yeah, mine is kind of like it.
See, it would be like, no, maybe.
Yeah, it's a tough conversation.
It is a tough conversation, especially if you think like
the fear of rejection, the fear of like, no.
Yeah, so then the expectation can still be there, but
yes, or would they be like, never mind. Like they could just be like, I don't know where you got that from. That's that new age right there.
Yeah, man. All right, y'all.
All right.
This has been a really good conversation about expectations and the flip side of that, parenting and being a child, and then being a parent of children.
Or being an adult child.
Adult child, yes. So you can always reach out to us. First Comes Love, TCM on Instagram.
You can like, subscribe to the YouTube channel at First Comes Love.
And you can email us. Let's talk at firstcomeslove, thenComesMarriage.com.
Talk to you Tuesday.